Still don't own a Sega CD? What are you waiting for? Nintendo to make one? You have seen the games, right? Wrong answer, man. Show 'em. Wow, it's like you get to play the games on a CD. Check out the graphics, full motion video, opposed to video that isn't full motion, 64 simultaneous colors, 12.5 megahertz processor. Holy this thing is total garbage. How would you like it if I conduct the rest of the video like this? Full motion video, my I'd rather it be full screen.
I love watching the Angry Video Game Nerd with censor bleeps. That's like 90% of the video is, of course, censored. Anyway, good evening, guys. Hope you guys are having a good work week. I still got one day left tomorrow, but I need to go ahead and do the stream tonight because tomorrow I'm taking a trip down to the coast for a surf trip. So, need to go ahead and do the stream, and it looks like we are headed back into the world of Sonic the Hedgehog. And specifically, we are playing Sonic CD. This game was released in 1993 for the Sega CD. As Angry Video Game Nerd so eloquently put, the Sega CD was a CD-based add-on for the Sega Genesis. I think we take for granted what a big deal the CD was in regards to video game innovation. At the time, video games came on cartridges, floppy disks, stuff like that. And the problem there was that all that stuff was very expensive to produce. Floppy disks were cheaper, but cartridges were very expensive. They're essentially secondary components to whatever hardware you were playing on. And when the CD came out, it must have seemed like black magic to a lot of people because not only could you hold twice the amount of data, but they were also much, much, much cheaper to produce. If you want a good example of what a big leap in technology it was, the original release for System Shock came on, I think, 16 floppy disk, but then later on they came out with a version that came on CD-ROM and it was only one disc, so it was a big deal. So video game companies wanted to switch to the new format as quickly as possible, but we were in the midst of the 16-bit era, so it wasn't going to happen right away. But they still wanted to do it anyway, so a couple of companies came out with CD-based add-ons. The first, I think, was the PC Engine CD, or the TurboGrafx 16 CD, as we know here in America. But the more well-known one would probably have to be the Sega CD, likely because it was attached to the Genesis, which was a very successful console. And it was an interesting piece of hardware. It not only allowed for games to come on CDs so you could have bigger games, but it also had some extra hardware. So it had an extra processor, so it could do stuff like sprite scaling and something similar to Mode 7. And it was also capable of full motion video. Very poor full motion video, but full motion video nonetheless. But add-on just had a lot of problems. For starters, add-ons in general are just kind of a hard sell, especially in the case of the Sega CD, which was almost a completely new console. Like a lot of people, like in order to get a Sega CD, you would essentially have to buy the equivalent of two consoles. And back in the day, that was unbelievably expensive. But the bigger issue was really the library. Like with the sprite scaling and the data availability, you could make amazing games on the Sega CD, but companies just focus too much on the full motion video. And because of that, most of the Sega CD library consists of, interactive movies. I'm sure if you guys have been watching the Angry Video Game Nerds video here, that's mostly what you've been seeing. You haven't seen anything resembling a side scroll or anything. Now, it's not to say that there weren't any good games. You had stuff like the Terminator and Snatcher, but easily the most memorable game on the console is Sonic CD. which it's kind of interesting how that came about. In Sonic 2, I talked about how they moved development to America to make games for the Western market. Well, part of the team behind the first Sonic game stayed in Japan, and they began work on their own version of Sonic 2, which eventually became Sonic CD. But because it was on the Sega CD, which just wasn't very popular, it didn't do terribly hot. It even got to the point where if you bought a Sega CD, you get Sonic CD for free, but that didn't help. So Sonic CD sort of faded into obscurity for several years until Mega Collection came out, which didn't feature Sonic CD per se, but it did feature the opening cutscene. And that got people asking questions, and eventually they released Sonic CD as part of Sonic Gems. That's how I first played the game. That's how a lot of people I know first played the game. And when that happened, the appreciation for CD just kind of exploded, as people suddenly regard it as the best Sonic game of all time. However, when I first played it, I had to admit I wasn't terribly impressed with it. And that's sort of been my opinion with Sonic CD for the longest time. That's not to say I think it's a bad game, far from it. But compared to other games in the series, Sonic CD just never impressed me. I wouldn't even put it in the top 10 Sonic games. I'm going to explain why as we play through the game, but I just wanted to give that context before we start. Anyway, as for how I'm playing this game, as usual, we are going to go back into Origins, which features the, I want to say 2012 remaster by Christian Whitehead, which features all kinds of great enhancements. It beefs the game up to widescreen, obviously, and gives you the option to choose between the American and Japanese soundtracks, as well as the option to play as Tails in addition to Sonic. And recently, for Sonic Origins Plus, they added the ability to play as Knuckles and Amy, which is really cool. So this is the definitive version of Sonic CD, and it's kind of a shame you have to buy Origins in order to get at it. But anyway, before we get started, I got something new to drink too. This is made by the same company that does Sweet Baby Jesus, my favorite brew. It's Pastryarchy S'mores Dessert Stout. Sounds really tasty. I'm looking forward to trying this one all week. Oh, that right there, that gets my seal of approval. Let's go ahead and get started. Do a quick sound check while this is booting. I'm looking forward to trying this one all week. I just need to start the recording. Okay, so right off the bat, I have mixed opinions about this title screen. In regards to what's good, it is the same overall idea with Sonic titles, and there are some cool graphical effects, like the scrolling for the clouds and everything. That's really cool. But I just hate that metal texture for the ring, and that render of Sonic is just awful, dude. This is when pre-rendered graphics were starting to become popular, and Sega had this weird fascination about rendering Sonic like that for the title screens, and it just never looked right to me, and I can tell you exactly why. When you're designing a character, you have to think about, are they going to be in 2D, are they going to be in 3D? Because just because a character looks good in 2D doesn't mean they're going to look good in 3D. If you want a good example, look up The Simpsons and how they translate to 3D images. This is why movies like The Incredibles look so good, because even though those characters look like they could work in 2D, that's only because they really thought about how they would look in 3D. But make sure I still have the sound. Yeah, I still do. It's just concerned because the music stopped. Speaking of music, like I said, one of the big inclusions with Christian Whitehead's version of the game is the option to choose your soundtrack. For whatever reason, Sega had 2 soundtracks for Sonic CD created. So you have a US soundtrack and a Japanese soundtrack. See, the music is completely different. Usually I go with the Japanese soundtrack because I just think it's better in general. But what I decided to do for the stream here is we're going to play the first zone with music from the United States soundtrack. And then for the second zone, we're going to pull up a playlist for the Japanese soundtrack and do a little compare and contrast. So let's go ahead and get started. And of course we're going to play as Sonic. Why would we play as anyone else? Start a new game. And it opens with easily the best animation Sonic has ever had. See, this was done by Koei Animation, who a lot of people probably know for the work on Dragon Ball. And, like, it's just so well done. With most animation featuring Sonic, they usually just depict him running in a straight line and usually as just a blur. But here, you really see the complexity of his movement. He's moving at different speeds, moving in different directions, up, down, side to side. It's like a skater or a parkour artist or something like that. I mean, it's just so awesome. I really wish that these guys had done a full animated movie instead of what we got with the current film series, which I still maintain just does the bare minimum to get by. I just see so much passion in this opening segment. I wish there was more of this. Like, the way Sonic's personality comes through too. That isn't attitude, that's determination right there. And that music, it's so good. So yeah, first impressions are really good, but when the game actually starts, like, this was the first thing I saw when I first started playing the game, and I was like, really? This is Sonic CD? And that's mostly because, like, it went backwards from Sonic 2. You'll notice Sonic has the same character sprites, and even the graphics themselves, they don't have the same sharpness or quality that Sonic 2 had. So, and again, this is on the Sega CD, so it's supposed to look better, but, like, I don't know, it just doesn't look as good in my opinion. And that music, I always heard what good music Sonic CD had, but this is just really underwhelming. But anyway, we need to start playing. Sonic going idle there for a second. A fun fact about that, if you let Sonic sit idle for I think 10 minutes, he'll actually get so bored that he'll actually just leave. Like, he'll jump off the screen, he'll say, "I'm out of here," and then you get a game over. Which is, you know, really funny. But yeah, this... Okay, so here's one of the big features of Sonic CD right here. So this right here, this isn't a checkpoint post, this is a marker for a warp zone. So how this works is you pass one of these and you get a charge. Then you need to reach a certain speed, let's say 88 miles per hour, and then you time travel. So let's see if I can get this to work. And I didn't. Let's try that again. See if I can get back to that post. Doesn't look like I can. Which is going to kind of prove my points as we get further into the game. Okay, so let's try this again. I do want to go to the past, not the future. There we go. Okay, so now we time travel into the past. And I'm sure some of you guys might be thinking, well, what does that do? Well, in Sonic CD, what the plot is, Sonic is visiting a presence on Mobius called the Little Planet, which disappears every 10 months, then reappears for a day or so. And that's due to it fluxing in and out of time. So on Little Planet, you can travel back and forth through time, and if you can collect these things called time stones, you can actually move freely. You can actually take those effects off the Little Planet. So as you could probably guess, Eggman has come to the planet with the intention of taking the time stones so that he can change history so that he rules the planet. With Little Planet, he's already gone back in time and set up robot generators, these things right here, so that in the present, Little Planet will be covered in his, mechanized monstrosities. So the goal of Sonic CD is to go back in time and destroy those generators. And when you do that, you create a better future. So I destroyed that, so if I go into the future now, I'll get a completely different level. See, it says here, Sonic made for a good future. So if you go forward in time, before you do that, you'll go to a dark level. And if you go forward after that, you'll go to a better future. Now, this is really cool right here. These are the special stages. And this really shows off more what the Sega CD was capable of. Like, the Genesis wasn't able to do something like this on its own. Or at least, not to this effect. Like, this runs just about as smoothly as F-Zero. And it really gives you a good sense of 3D. Those backgrounds, the way the UFOs scroll in and out. It's really cool. Kind of wish they had done more like this. Thought that was the last one. I guess I gotta destroy this one too. And I just got a time stone. Not a Chaos Emerald, a time stone. Which unfortunately means we won't be going supersonic in this game, which kind of sucks, but whatever. Why do I want to go to Steam? I did not ask you to do that. Okay, now we're going to mute the in-game audio, and I'm going to put on other music. This is what Palm Tree Panic sounds like in the Japanese version. And right away that sounds better, doesn't it? Like, there's just so much more energy with this version of the song. Like, I'm not a big fan of how it opens with, like, the kid screaming yay. That sounds really childish to me. But once it gets to the instrumentals, this sounds really good. That was one of the benefits of CD technology. Instead of using chip tunes, you could actually have, you know, music. I lost my chart, so it's like I'm not going to the future. So here's another one of those generators I'm talking about, but this is an indication of where it would be in the past. So if I travel forward now, I'd end up in a dark future. If I go back, destroy that generator, then I end up in a good future. So that's 4 different versions of the same level that can be in Sonic CD. And that's really cool. And that's only possible with the CD technology at the time. You couldn't do that on Genesis. They tried that with the original Sonic 2. However, that's also the main reason I don't like Sonic CD. And it's mostly because it over-encourages exploration, in my opinion. Now, that's like, with a Sonic game, what I prefer is movement. I'm not just talking about the fast pace, I'm talking about the general flow of the level design. And because the levels in Sonic CD focus so much on exploration, it doesn't really have that flow. So, like, and as you saw, going back and forward in time, it's kind of clunky. Like, it's hard to do that on a whim. But I just don't think it was that good a call. Now, as you saw from the fact that, like, there are special stages where I can get time stones, you don't have to play the game in that manner. You can play like just a regular Sonic game. No exploring is what I mean. But when you play the game like that, you'll kind of realize that the level design is sort of haphazardly designed. And it just doesn't make for the same kind of experience as Sonic 1 or Sonic 2. And I also want to state for the record, this is all my own opinion. I know plenty of people who do love the time travel aspect of Sonic CD, but I do not. I think it's sort of mismatched to the franchise. And that's the main reason I don't enjoy Sonic CD as much as Sonic 2 and Sonic 1. I think I'm almost out of time here. It doesn't look like I'm getting it. Nope. So yeah, the main gimmick of Sonic CD just doesn't work for me. And I'm not going to go through the effort of trying to get a good future in every level or attaining all the time stones. One, because I don't enjoy playing Sonic CD a whole lot, so I just kind of want to get it over with. And also because I want to get this done quickly so I can get another Game Gear title in during this stream. That way we can move towards the next mainline Sonic game faster. And time for our first fight with Eggman. Now this isn't a bad idea. I mean, he's higher than Sonic can jump, so that's good. He's got protection. And if I try to go for the legs, I'll get spiked. But this is all assuming that I wasn't behind him. Yeah, nice try, Eggman. That is one thing that they added from Sonic 2, though. They did get Sonic the Spin Dash, which is nice. And when you kill the enemies, they spawn flowers for some reason. I'm not sure what the deal with that is. And like with the boss levels here, that's what a Dark Future will look like for Palm Tree Panic. Collision Chaos. Man, do I hate this level. Get a shield. And yeah, this was the first game to introduce Amy. who's just gonna... And also the first game to introduce Metal Sonic too. So two pretty noteworthy characters there, though I wouldn't say either of them really has a good first outing here. So Amy, she's obviously fallen into the role of damsel in distress, which was the style of the time. And that would sort of be her role for like the next 20 years or so. And I know a lot of people who don't like Amy's personality. Like, her whole shtick is that she's in love with Sonic and chases after him where he goes. But Sonic, being attached to his freedom, he's not really interested in a relationship. So he does find Amy slightly annoying, but because he's also a nice guy, he doesn't really hate her either. So it's a weird dynamic they always had, where they're friends, but you know, Sonic also finds her annoying, doesn't like dealing with her a lot of the time. And the common joke a lot of the fan base makes is that she's Sonic's stalker, which is a statement I never really liked, because, like, you gotta remember, Sonic and Amy, they're kids. And that's just kind of how kids tend to fall in love. Girl wants him more, and the boy just doesn't know what to make of it. It's not like Amy ever does anything malicious to, to Sonic. She's usually pretty helpful in their adventures when she's not being a damsel in distress, so it's not like she's trying to kidnap Sonic or do something psychotic. There are a few instances in the series where she does cross that line, like in Sonic Heroes, but for the most part, Amy was annoying, but she was never unlikable, and in recent years, especially with the IDW comics, she has become a great character, be it with them focusing on her leadership abilities and really making her into an independent character. I think it's even getting to the point where Sonic's even starting to develop an attraction to her. There are some subtle bits of that in the IDW comics, and I have no idea if that's intentional or not, but it wouldn't surprise me. Tyson Hess and his boys really know what they're doing with these characters, which is why Sega really needs to just turn the reins of the story over to them, instead of just, letting them write the dialogue. As for Metal Sonic, he doesn't have a great first showing here either, mostly because he's just a robotic double of Sonic in this game. It wasn't until the Sonic OVA, or Sonic the Hedgehog the movie, that a lot of his character would be established with his copy function and everything. It's funny how such an obscure entry in the series ended up having a big impact on one of the characters, but, good character ideas are good character ideas. And I love that animation. It's the closest thing to a full animated movie of the intro in Sonic CD we ever got. Well, I did manage to get another time stone. As far as I know, these things never appeared in the series again. They're just a little planet outside of, Sonic Generations and Sonic Mania. Alright, let's put on the music. That's a little bit better, I guess, but it's not as strong as Palm Tree Panics. Really, in general, I'm not a huge fan of Collision Chaos. I think I said that earlier, actually. And that's mostly because, unlike, this is essentially a version of Spring Yard that puts more focus on the pinball aspects. Which, yeah, cool concept, but Again, Sonic 2 just kind of did it better. All this really is just a fancy pinball table, this world. And because of that, it just ends up being kind of forgettable. Sonic 2 added that great casino aesthetic, which, just kind of stuck. It's just two things that go together like peanut butter and jelly. Anyway, I should probably I think I gotta teleport further here. That's another thing I don't like about the time travel aspect. You kind of have to interrupt the gameplay in order to do it. Let's see, now the way forward is open. If they had used the time travel mechanic a little more like that and made it a little easier to pull off, I would probably like it a little bit more, but I don't know, I just feel like they overstepped with it. Alley up. That's something else I can do in this game, the peel out. Though, for what purpose it serves, I don't really know. Screw you, metal. Now look at the little animals jumping around. So far I would only say the American soundtrack is ahead by, I don't know, I guess one. The Palm Tree Planet theme was great, but Collision Chaos's music, not terribly so. And let me tell you, I really hate this next boss fight. It's not even that hard, it's just aggravating. So essentially what this is just a game of pinball. Enter this pinball table, 8 minutes at the top, and I just gotta get up there. Not a lot more to it than that. Fortunately, it is very, very annoying. Because not only are you getting bounced around on the pinball table, but Eggman's also dropping bombs down there with you. So you're almost up there, think you got him beat, but then you get hit by a bomb. Like that. Get up there. Go! Get up there. Man, I'm starting to sound like the nerd. That's part of the reason why I wanted to play that nerd video for the intro. Like, I remember doing my Sega Genesis retrospective for the blog, and when I was talking about the Sega CD and the 32X, I couldn't help but plagiarize the nerd to some degree, because he just so perfectly puts what is wrong with those two add-ons. Those are actually the first two nerd videos I ever watched, too. Up. No! Up. There we go. God, that was annoying. Release the flowers. For the love of life, son. What's next? Tidal Tempest. I do like these level titles though. And that Palm Tree Panic, Collision Chaos, Tidal Tempest, that's awesome, dude. And that background is really awesome with the volcanoes. So, we got our first water level. And it's essentially a less annoying version of Labyrinth Zone. Again, Sonic 2 just had a better approach to level design here. You actually had the means to avoid the water, whereas I think here you have no choice but to go into it. And again, that music just isn't terribly impressive. It's atmospheric, sure, but for Sonic movement music, it wants something that makes you move, if that makes sense. Like when I see Sonic listening to this music, I just picture him leaning against the wall, bobbing his head, not really, you know, moving to the music like he was at the Sonic CD. Sonic Boom, I mean. Yeah, there's so many spots in the level design like that that just send you back and forth. Those are what I call jump points, which are strictly there to allow Sonic to jump to the speed he needs for time travel. And if you get the 88 miles per hour reference, then you have good taste in music. Alright, let's see how Tidal Tempest sounds in Japanese. Okay, is that atmospheric as well? No, I don't want to go into the water. Actually, I don't care. Yeah, that's weirdly atmospheric as well. This isn't fire either, that's water. Just pushes you. Okay, that sounds better. Actually, you know what this sounds like to me? This sounds like the kind of music that would be playing during a treasure hunting stage in Sonic Adventure. Which, you know, kind of makes sense. Sonic CD is supposed to be more exploration based. I don't want to play it like that because, you know, that's not what I want to do in a Sonic game, but in that respect, I guess it does work. People always say that this is the best Sonic game because of the time travel mechanics and everything. But, I mean, think about it. They never did a setup like this again, even when they did something like Sonic Mania. So I think that stands to reason that it wasn't as popular as a lot of people make it out to be. Or over time, people just kind of realized that like what they did with Sonic 2 just made more sense for the character. And again, it's just opinion, but I don't know, it's just a lot about Sonic CD8 that just doesn't work for me. Now this next Eggman boss just baffles me. I do like that invincibility music though, that rocks. That's right, you better run. Okay, so here's the stupid part. I want to examine this situation. Eggman has Sonic, trapped underwater. All he has to do is shoot at him, make him use up his oxygen. But for whatever reason, he surrounds himself in the very air that Sonic needs to breathe to survive in this situation. Like, why? What is the logic here, Eggman? Like, are you trying to give Sonic a sporting chance? Or do you actually think this is gonna work? Whatever the case, it's a pretty easy boss fight. You just take all the air, and then once his defenses are down, you just hit him like you normally would. God, you suck there, Eggman. Another reason I'm not going all the way in on the exploration is that... Okay, it actually sounds really good. Listen to that guitar chord there. And another reason I'm not going all in on the exploration is that, like, I've actually played the game like that before. Made a good future in every level. The thing is, it's just not all that satisfying to do something. Like, in games that prioritize exploration, like Zelda and such, it's usually very satisfying to explore, because there's usually some kind of reward. For example, in Metroid, the appeal of Metroid is exploring the levels and finding new power-ups to make you get stronger, and that's heightened by the fact that every time you get a new power-up, you know, a whole new section of the level is just opened up. So that's the appeal of Metroid. But exploring in Sonic CD just doesn't net you much of a reward in general. All you really get is a slightly different cutscene at the end of the game. And as far as I know, you can't go Super Sonic either. I think you can in the Christian Whitehead version, even though that wouldn't make sense. But there's just not much of a point to exploring aside from seeing all the different levels, which for me just isn't enough. Alright, so the stage has pretty good music. Can the Japanese soundtrack do better? I kind of like the American music better there. Look at that background, dude. You see how that's scrolling? It's very jazzy, though. I do like that. Just jump to time speed. Did I go to the present or future? Past, I mean. Oh, I went to the past. Huh, how do we go from marshlands to a mining system? That doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? The level's very flat, too. Alright, Back to the Future. You know, that wasn't intentional, I apologize. I think I like Quartz Squadron for the American side better. So far, it's sort of a toss-up which soundtrack is better. People always say that there's a huge gap between the Japanese soundtrack and the American soundtrack, but really, there are certain tracks I would prefer. Maybe that's something else they should add. You know, the option to pick and choose which songs you want. Here's a memorable fight. So on this conveyor belt, an Eggman's gonna drop bombs on me. Just gotta avoid them. But I actually don't have to jump on Eggman here, and you'll see why. That's right, the conveyor belt is eating away at his platform, so I just gotta keep it going until it eats away the whole thing. Yep, unless that happens. That's right. Dance, Eggman, dance! Man, Eggman's not at his best with these machines, is he? He's even worse than the ones in Sonic 2. Wacky workbench. This is another level that really annoys me. Starting out strong with the music, though. First, this doesn't look too bad, does it? I mean, this got some fun platforming right here. But the issue comes if you actually miss a platform. And then there's getting around this stupid thing. Yeah, that is some pretty good music, isn't it? Like, why do people hate the American soundtrack so bad? It's not that bad. I feel bad, that's always a narrative I propagated too. That the American version sucks and the Japanese soundtrack is where it's at. But this really is not that bad. This is actually really good. God, I hate this level. It's really those floors that get on my nerves. Because you just get launched so high, and then it takes forever to get back down. I much rather prefer lava or electrified floor at this point. Something's dropping bombs. That's what those things do. Ah, crapola. Need to be careful I don't have any rings. I do not want to go up that way. That's better. Go! Such a frustrating level. Alright, let's have a look-see. Oh, hell yeah, that's better. Sounds more like music you'd hear in a Sonic stage, that's for sure. And this one isn't too big on platforms, so kind of have to be careful where I go. Like with these rotating things, you actually have to hit the button while you're on the opposite side of the direction you want to go. Which is counterintuitive, but that's how it works. I haven't jumped forward in time anytime soon. I remember doing that run through, trying to pick up the speed you need to time travel is just a major pain in this level. I think it could build it up here, but whether or not you'd actually be in an area where you can... Why can't I get out of there? Get at the robot generator, and that's another story. Ah, I want the ring. See if I can get another time stone. Okay, that is an awesome background. Look at that, dude. I did not mean for that to happen. I missed him. It's kind of hard to judge where you are in relation to the UFOs. Alright, let's deal with this boss. Yep. The only time it's good to be sent skyward in this level. Except there. Those platforms that spin you around too, that's really annoying. Alright, what you got for me, Eggman? Oh, you're gonna try to drill me, eh? Oh, I don't think it's gonna work out too well for you. Dropping spikes on me now. I don't think that's gonna work out too well for you either. You already tried that in Sonic 2. My god, Eggman, could you suck any harder? Get your ass back here. Now for what is easily the most memorable level in the game, Stardust Speedway. Those who have played this game will know exactly why, too. It is noteworthy for the series because it's the first highway-themed stage in the series. Something that would be really popular, especially when we get to the 3D games in the series. Fortunately, I'm also not a big fan of this level because of how confusing the layout can be. Yet, thrown all over the place in this one. Pick up a lot of speed though, that's for sure. Easy to get back to the present though. Come on, jump through. There we go. Alright, let's see what the Japanese soundtrack has for this one. Well, it's certainly a bit more funky. That doesn't sound particularly good. I mean, I guess given the way the track looks, with all the horns and everything, this music does kind of make sense, but I don't know, it doesn't sound right to me. I think that's another point for the American soundtrack. Oh man. This part that always annoyed me. Like I said, haphazard level design. Just very random flow to it. Alright, people who played this before know what's next. Probably the most famous boss fight in the game. Oh man, that is a good song right there. Yep, it's time for our showdown with Metal Sonic. So essentially, here's a race. I gotta make it to the end before Metal Sonic does, and I can't fall too far behind because Eggman's got Death Ray. You also gotta watch out for Metal Sonic himself because he's got several attacks that can screw you over if you aren't careful. This music is just fantastic, though. This is great for the showdown. I win. Not a very hard boss fight, but still pretty cool. And we got Amy here. Are you like tied to this pipe or something? I mean, what are you doing? Alright, Sonic, I'll let her go. Grab him out of beer. Alright, Metallic Madness. I wonder if that's where the name Metal Madness came from. That's a common title in the Archie comics. Or Mecha Madness. That was a great storyline. Sonic being roboticized. Then all the Freedom Fighters just working together to try to beat him. A gross oversimplification of the plot, but still a really good one. Ah. I really hate those things. Music here is okay. Appropriately atmospheric. These disciplinary bots made me think of Mega Man. Like, why are those spikes there? I mean, what purpose does that serve? Alright. 2 more acts and then I'm done. Very trippy. That's a bit bomb, look at that. Down the tubes. Oh wait, I need to put on music for this level. Okay, that's definitely more exciting, that's for sure. Whee! Yeah, it didn't look like it will launch you that far, did it? What are those lyrics? Anyone got a lyric sheet they can send me? Jumping on this thing. Takes forever. Could at least destroy the enemies. You missed. Honey, I Shrunk the Hedgehog. It's actually an episode of The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. That's one I always remember from when I was a kid. That wasn't a good show at all, but there were a few fun episodes. Remember one multi-parter. Yeah, the show had multi-parters where Sonic and everyone went on a time-traveling adventure, which is kind of weird. Usually this is the point where I get caught up in some kind of trap with falling... Ah, no, not that! Frick. That's what I get for talking about traps there. Okay, I'm gonna skip this part and just go. Unfortunately, I need that part to get ahead. Fine. Back and forth, back and forth. Stimulating. Yeah, I get stuck with the shrink ray again. Track switch. This is some music that be playing in one of the different time periods. You do get different music depending on the time period. I didn't feel like going that in depth with it though. It's all I'm not the biggest fan of Sonic CD. It's not that I hate the game, I'm just kind of indifferent to it. Again, there are much worse Sonic games than this. Like, I wouldn't even put this in the top 10 Sonic games, but this is far from being in the top 10 worst either. It's just always been kind of middle of the road for me. Ah, man, I just went back. Hate it when they design levels like this. There we go. Ah, here's that trap I was thinking about. This is the one that always got me when I was a kid. But as an adult now, I can breeze through it pretty easily. Oh yeah, that's right. Ran out. That's how you know you've had too much to drink. You run out. Alright, time for the final showdown. Really should have saved Metal Sonic for the last fight. Especially considering this Nets fight isn't terribly impressive. Wait, that's still the playlist playing. Here, go back to the previous soundtrack. I forgot about that part. The only part of the game where they get me with a bottomless pit. Screw you. Digging that guitar, that sounds rad. Alright, Eggman, where you at? Okay, what's the proper way to hit these guys? There we go. Ah, crap. I'm too eager to finish, that's the problem. Ah! Ah. Alright, little fireflies. I got you there, I swear I did. I think this is the final boss. Yep. And this one, I don't recall being too hard to deal with. See, he can't get me there. Last time I played this, I was playing as Amy. I don't remember exactly how I hit him. Ah, there we go. Hey, he just disappeared, didn't he? Come on, Eggman, let's wrap this up. Ah. Now you only got one, Eggman, might as well give up now. You missed. Like, what is your plan here? Seriously. And that's the end of you, Eggman. Alright, let's get out of here, Amy. Now we get another sweet animation. See, if I had gone the completed future there, you would have saw the planet vanish. But instead we got Eggman getting away with the time stones. Only he doesn't. So a happy ending either way. And that was Sonic CD. Gotta be honest, I just wasn't a huge fan of it. Now, that's not to say it wasn't fun to talk about. Like, the time travel mechanic, that is an interesting idea, and the way they used it was cool, but I don't know, I just think it was a poor choice for a Sonic game. Again, when I play a Sonic game, I look more through the movement, how I flow through the levels, and doing so at a breakneck speed. I don't really think about exploring, and usually when exploration is a big part of a Sonic game, it tends to not be one of the better games in the series. But again, this is all my opinion. I know plenty of people who really enjoy the time travel Astra, enjoy the exploration heavy level design, but I just don't care for it personally. If you really love Sonic CD, that is fine. If you think this is the best Sonic game for all time, that is fine, because at the end of the day, Sonic CD is not that bad a game. There are much worse games than this out there. But anyway, we got about 10 minutes left in the stream. How about a bonus? I got Sonic Origins Plus here, which means I have access to the Game Gear games now. Nice, easy access to footage. So let's get into the next game of the lineup. Man, that was fuzzy. Oh, look at that. Eggman's stolen a Chaos Emerald again. Whatever shall we do? Keep up, Tails, come on. Ugh, man, that's an awful title screen. And I hate the title too, Sonic Chaos. Mostly because that obviously brings to mind the character Chaos. So when you go to type that into Google, that's the first thing that comes up. Really annoying. They really should have just stuck with the original title, which was just Sonic and Tails, which is noteworthy because Sonic Chaos was the first game in the series to give you an option between two playable characters. In this case, you can choose between Sonic and Tails, or Tails. We just spent the past hour playing as Sonic, so how about we play as Tails here? What does that say? Turquoise Hill? Oh, that's a weird title. Graphics are alright. About as good as Sonic 2. Physics feel really floaty though. So, what's the advantage of playing as Tails versus Sonic? Well, obviously, Tails can fly, but if you just try to fly like you're used to, which is probably just, you know, tapping the button once you're in the air, you'll find you can't do that. How you actually fly in this game is you push up on the control stick, and then that's how you fly. But obviously, Tails gets tired after a while, so you can't stay in the air for very long. Honestly, that feels really clunky. Definitely prefer how it is in the mainline games, where you just jump, then push the button again, Tails starts spinning his tails, and then you mash the button to make him gain altitude. It does mean that Tails can get to places that Sonic can't. This honestly just feels really weird, especially coming off the Sonic CD. I didn't like Sonic CD, but the controls in that game were really tight. And man, the acceleration here is just through the roof, dude. Why is that Sonic's face there? How about a little respect for Tails, dude? Why is it called Turquoise Hill? That grass is green. It's just Green Hill Zone. And music just... Oh right, I got a speed up block, didn't I? Keep trying to jump, but... You get to the ledge and then it doesn't let me. It's like there's a delay there. Don't know if that's the actual game or if it's something wrong with Origins. Wouldn't surprise me if it is. I'll go up, see what there is. Did I pick up another speed booster? That appears the end of the level. Flicky. Do I have to cover that game too? Does that count as a Sonic game? I don't know. If I didn't know any better, I'd say I was in the same level. Alright, what you got? Oh, I'm not even fighting Eggman this time, I'm fighting this thing. Well, that was really easy. I remember in general Sonic Chaos being a really easy game. I remember playing this for the first time on a friend's Game Gear, and I just blew through it in a few hours. Blew through it in about an hour or so. Also don't remember it being a terribly memorable experience, so I'm not going to dedicate a whole lot of time to it. That's why I wanted to get to it tonight. Gigaopolis. Well, alright then. I didn't mean for that to happen. It's definitely a really slippery control scheme. Really hard to control what you're doing. It might just be Tails. Sonic might control a bit better, I'm not really sure. Usually when I play Sonic Chaos, I do play as Sonic, so... Make of that what you will. Not falling for that again. Ah! Maybe I can just fly over this. Yeah, you can definitely cheat your way through some obstacles. I'm not in the mood to go any further. Sonic Chaos, it's fine, but that's all it is. It's just fine. Very slippery control scheme, very forgettable level design, and though you can play as Tails for the first time, he just doesn't play all that well. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed Sonic CD. Hope you enjoyed Sonic Chaos. If you enjoyed this content, like and subscribe. I do these streams every week. Usually on Saturday nights, just make an exception this week because I'm going on a trip tomorrow. Next week, we'll be seeing the release of Pikmin 4, so because of that, I'm going to cover the first Pikmin for the live stream. So if you're interested in that series, be sure to tune in then. We'll be doing that on Saturday, unless something else happens. So outside of that, you guys have a good weekend, drink responsibly, and take care.